Hello, thank you all for joining us for a program overview today. I have the privilege of being joined by Miss Kari Potts in our English and Foreign Language departments. Welcome, Miss Potts.
Thank you so much, Ms. Collins.
Thank you for taking the time to chat with us today with a little bit about your specific department and also some tips for our transfer students. So we'll get right into it with some questions. How do you think students can be successful in the courses that are offered in your department?
So I will say that it's rare that students aren't successful because they lack the aptitude or the skill set necessary to succeed, but often there are challenges with time management or procrastination or just finding that motivation. So I think it's helpful to keep the big picture in mind. One semester of English, for instance, is a requirement for the majority of our degree programs. So just, checking that box gets students one step closer to meeting their academic and career goals. I also think it's helpful just to turn something in, even if it's incomplete or not their personal best work, but just making that effort. And we have a lot of great resources on campus that can support students in their efforts. So I wanted to mention the Writing Center specifically and the wonderful tutors that we have who can work with drafts of papers, or students can even just take the writing prompt, the directions in, and say, I don't even know how to get started on this, and get some help, even if they haven't even begun the work, if they're facing writer's block. And I also wanted to mention the Study Buddy feature in Navigate, and networking with students across campus, because having support and having accountability partners can make all the difference.
Definitely. I know that the couple of classes I really struggled with in college, having that peer study group really helped us all pull out at least a B in the class. So I love that you mentioned the study buddy feature. So thank you for that. That's awesome.
Absolutely.
Definitely some good resources out there. All right. How do you feel like the courses in your department are really preparing students that want to transfer for that bachelor's degree and those classes once they reach their four-year destination?
So our university transfer students are going to be taking English 101. Of course, there's a lot of writing involved with that, but there are other skill sets that we're developing there: critical reading, critical thinking, research. So even if a student isn't going to be an English major, we also have foreign language in our department. Even if they're not going to be a foreign language major, still, it's so important to develop those skill sets for scholarship in whatever major students are choosing. We also have public speaking, which is often a degree requirement. So it is a course that often causes a lot of anxiety, which is completely natural and normal. But this may be the most useful or practical class that a student takes, whether they're transferring or going into their career, because it helps with communications with clients or with future employers or even within personal relationships.
Definitely. I feel like that English foundation is critical in a bachelor field because it's going to impact all of your classes. So I don't think you really realize that until you get into them
Yeah,
um,
yeah.
later on. Since you take English first, you don't realize how it impacts your other courses later on.
Reading and writing is going to happen in all disciplines. Yeah.
Good point. I feel like you touched on it a little bit, but with those English classes that are really geared towards our technical students, how do you feel like they're preparing students for that career path?
Yeah, so I mentioned we offer foreign language in our department, so I think that can be really great training, if that applies for students in their future career. Having a little bit of background knowledge in a foreign language can always be helpful. But we also offer English 155, which is a business communications class. So we work on documents specific to students' career fields. They might be drafting memos, for instance, but we also do an employment portfolio, which is very practical. Students will leave with a cover letter that they can use and tailor when they're applying for jobs, or a resume. We do a lot of interview prep as well in both English 155 and 156. So we're getting students ready for making that transition from York Tech to wherever they're going next.
Oh, perfect. I love that. I wish I would have had someone teach me how to do a resume while in classes. Definitely a helpful tip. Would you mind sharing a little bit about your educational journey and how you came to be an English professor?
Sure, I'd be happy to. So my bachelor's is actually in Spanish. It's not in English at all. And I took a really long time to declare a major. I was really uncertain what I wanted to do and felt a lot of pressure from everybody around me to make that decision. And I honestly just had no clue. So I went with whatever I had the most fun doing, and that was being in the foreign language classroom. So I knew I had to take a lot of credits for whatever my major was going to be. And that's how I landed on Spanish, just because it was fun. And then I went from there to get a graduate degree in creative writing. And so here we are. While I was there, I fell in love with teaching just kind of by accident. I did some work at a Mexican consulate, and I also taught ESL, English as a second language, initially. But other than that, my Spanish degree doesn't exactly inform what I'm doing now. So I think that might be helpful for a lot of students to hear that you're not making this lifelong commitment, and you can just really explore what your interests are and what you're passionate in, and eventually you're going to wind up wherever it is that you want to be. And for me, that was teaching.
Amazing. I love that journey. What, like with the graduate degree in creative writing, what did you like learn throughout that program, and where do you see students thriving if they're thinking about being a writer? Like what would be helpful for them to know?
I'm glad you brought up creative writing, because for the first time since I've been here, which is about 5 years, we're offering creative writing. So I think that is really exciting, and students have been asking for that course, and so here it is. But writing is something that we're doing more and more all the time. Our communications are shifting that way with email and text messaging, and
Mm.
it is one of those soft skills that employers say that they're looking for. So I think having a background in writing can lead to so many other different types of careers. I was writing poetry,
Cool.
so that's how I got interested in that degree. But I knew that if I took 18 graduate credits in English while I was working towards that program, that it would make me eligible for college teaching. So that's what
Awesome.
I did. I had that in mind. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing. Um, do you have any tips of how a student can successfully transfer?
So I would say it's important to be proactive and to do some research, and to find the institution that really is a good fit. And for me, that meant kind of looking at program offerings and reading course descriptions, and just looking at what got me excited and I knew would be a good fit. So I'd say keep an eye on deadlines. That's really important, especially those scholarship deadlines. They're going to come up more quickly. And that's just another thing to keep in mind, that there are scholarships available just for transfer students that they can take advantage of.
Fantastic point. And I'm glad you mentioned the do your research and look at the courses and programs that interest you, because definitely not every school has the exact same major. So it is really important to figure out where your niche is going to lie. Awesome. Um, was there anything we didn't get a chance to cover? Any feedback or guidance that you'd like to share at this time as our final question?
I would just reiterate that your instructors are here for you and to support you in any way along your journey that can be helpful. So please don't be shy. Please contact us. Please know our doors are always open. That's what we're here for.
How would you describe office hours if a student is looking to maybe take advantage of that when they see it in the syllabus?
Yeah, there are lots of different approaches to office hours. If students know that they want to talk about a particular assignment, they can make an appointment ahead of time. But office hours, I mean, if we stick to the spirit of what they're meant to be, those are drop-in hours. So, if you're coming right out of a class and immediately you have this question or this concern that you want to bring up, it's an open door policy. So, please walk right on in. A lot of times, for my classes, which are English classes, we're talking about papers and maybe conferencing about a draft. Students want to be able to turn in the best, most polished version that they possibly can. So we talk about strategies on how to do that.
Oh, love it. Thank you so much for your time, Miss Potts. We really appreciate your wonderful responses and giving us this insight into English classes.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you. And students, if you're interested in needing help with anything academics or with transferring, come by the Advising Center. We're happy to help you anytime. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video.